council meeting for April the 27th, 2021 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Halter?
Here.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Ms. Metz?
Here.
Ms. Osmanaglu?
Here.
Ms. Walter?
Here.
And Mayor Moore.
Here. And we have a prayer by Marie Walter.
Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and further, to be the best that we can be. And we ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, we'll have the oath of office administered to our new police officer, Blake Mayberry.
I, Blake M. Mayberry,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio,
the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties of the office of police officer,
discharge the duties of the office of police officer,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Council members, I want to say thank you for hiring me. I look forward to making you proud. It goes without saying my last name is Mayberry, and I believe a lot of people call the Village of Greenhills the city of Mayberry. So I think I'm going to fit in right here. And they did, in case you didn't see, they did give me more than one bullet, so I'm excited for that. Thank you again. I look forward to making you all proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
I was wondering if you're going to advocate for a skateboard patrol, versus...
We'll see about that. I'll see if I can come. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Okay, next we have the approval of minutes of previous meetings.
I see no corrections. Approve them.
Okay, we have the council meeting of March 23rd, 2021, and the council retreat of April 10th, 2021. If there are no corrections,
No corrections.
the minutes stand approved. Okay, this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. This is not intended to be a dialogue with council or village staff. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow for time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers. Anyone?
Monique Mason-Halter, 154 Junefield. I'm here tonight because of my concerns about the Otard Rule. Otard stands for Over-the-Air Reception Devices. The Federal Communications Commission, also known as the FCC, has amended a version of this rule, which will allow private property owners to place fixed point-to-point antennas supporting wireless service on their property, and for the first time, to extend wireless data, voice services, including 5G, to users on neighboring properties, to facilitate fast deployment of mesh Wi-Fi networks, 5G, and the ground infrastructure for SpaceX satellites. It allows antennas on homes while preempting all state and local zoning authority. No permit is required. I'm concerned about safety. Utility trade groups, public safety officials, utility companies, and others have filed lawsuits against the FCC because, quote, 5G would create an unreasonably high potential for radio frequency interference that could disrupt communication systems that underpin the safety and reliability of the grid, end quote. Earlier this year, a New Jersey Borough Council made it so Verizon couldn't install 5G small cells without getting certification from the Federal Aviation Administration and Department of Defense that the company's 5G facilities would not interfere with critical avionics equipment utilized by the military and civilian aircrafts in their community. Council members cited a report published in Defense News. Quote, 5G telecommunication systems in the 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz band will cause harmful interference to radar, altimeters, and all types of civil aircraft. The results of the study performed clearly indicate that this risk is widespread and has the potential for broad impacts to aviation operations in the U.S., including the possibility of catastrophic failures leading to multiple fatalities in the absence of appropriate mitigations. So thank God we don't live near an airport. Regardless, this version of the Otard Rule went into effect on March 29th. The FCC has preempted federal and state civil rights laws that protect the disabled and their rights for accommodations. People who are affected by these transmitting devices will have no right to object to them, even though they will be involuntarily exposed to harmful radiation in their homes. Some residents, including the mayor, have said they want 5G in the village. This rule seems to allow them to install antennas on their property to extend wireless data, voice services, including 5G, onto neighboring properties despite risks to themselves and others. Of course, I hope that all village property owners will be mindful that their neighbors may not want antennas that extend wireless data, voice services, including 5G, installed near their homes, especially without their knowledge or consent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I guess we're allowed to take our mask off around here. Okay. Good evening. My name is Patricia Andwan, Pat. I noticed a number of things in the council retreat minutes and the minutes of the last council meeting that I think need to have some additional light shown on them. First off, there was, on the March 23rd meetings, there was an executive session that discussed an imminent lawsuit. And then you go to the April 10th meeting of council's retreat, and Mr. Forbes, the law director, gives a report on pending litigation. I'm curious why it is on TV and everyone else, if someone files a lawsuit, it's on the news. When a municipality or a police department or whatever, why is it there's no public notice to our community about what kind of trouble you guys get in? And I think that's very clear that we need to change those tactics, because that's one of the reasons you have such low approval ratings. The next thing would be, I noticed that Mr. Forbes is quoted here as having said, presented information regarding the roles of council members. They are to set policy and set the direction by passing resolutions and ordinances, and then the municipal manager carries them out. Here's the key sentence. Council members listen to residents' concerns and they pass them along to the municipal manager. Now, Mr. Moore, you've got this habit going of saying, we can talk all we want, we can bounce words off the windows. You're not going to talk back to us, you're not going to give us any answers, no clues, nothing. And you're telling us we need to go to this village manager. Well, that's upside down, according to Mr. Forbes. So you guys need to shake it up a little bit. We also have information in the minutes here from the retreat about a local historic district, and it says here, everyone who went to these meetings received a survey. Ms. Kovac, you remember very well the evening I was at the church with the meeting. I even recorded it, and I did not receive a survey. So I have no idea who else supposedly had input into your historic district. I'm concerned with the signs going up for Sipsey Klein and some kind of development. I don't recall ever any kind of a plan being approved or any public notice or hearing. People that live on that street that are within 400 feet have not received any notification from the village. There's an article in WCPO tonight that says Cincinnati, some residents,
Okay, Pat,
they're
Van
supposed
Wan,
to
your
have
time
a
is up.
400-foot notice.
Thank you.
Time is up.
Thank you.
The
for
other
your
thing
comment.
is, your manager does not respond to public records requests. I had to get a
Okay, your
subpoena.
time is up. Your
Had
time
to
is
get a
up.
subpoena to get information out of this bunch.
Thank
That
you.
needs to stop.
Okay,
It's hard to follow.
yeah.
What I would like to say, I'm Patricia Bender, and I live on Handle Lane, is that I think that Pat brings up a very, very good point, and that we really fail in communication. Us standing here and watching you look at us and not being able to share any kind of conversation on an issue or a concern or an interest, it's defeating. It's very defeating to feel that you all are really listening to us. As far as these buildings going up, I remember there was some talk about the design of the building. Nobody forced you to make those look like flat barracks with flat roofs. I know the Historical Society wanted a kind of like, but they look like blasts from the past. And to me, that kind of money to buy something, I'd rather give them something that looks like it's worth $289,000, so they can help us with taxes. And to abate them for 15 years, and yet you're asking us to increase our levy for our schools, and so we who live here are going to carry it, and we can't even talk to you about it because you sit there. I think Pat has a very good point, which concerns me and has for 8 years, on how we can't communicate. I don't want to run into the mayor at Troubadour to talk to him about an issue or concern. And I think you should, maybe when COVID's all over, all this will come down, but it would be nice to be able to talk to you. It'd be nice to hear your feelings and opinions or directions. And, as far as the retreat notes, to me too, I had those same questions, exactly those same questions. Like, why is it we get to talk to all the people on council and then they all go to the village manager? Why can't we talk to her or come up with some ideas and suggestions? It's very frustrating.
Never failed.
Good evening. I just have a couple concerns as well. One of them is I live at First of all, my name is Helen Booker. I live at 5 Hayden Drive, but my son and daughter-in-law and grandkids live at 10 DeWitt. And there's concern, and some of the other people that live on that street, because I'm pretty friendly with all of them, their concern is the fact that that chain went up there at DeWitt Court, and I suppose, according to them, there was no notification. I don't know who it belongs to. I'm assuming that it was done because somebody could do it legally. But the concern is that nobody was informed of it, and people were trying to park there, and they couldn't park there. My other concern is, question is the, and I don't know if you all have anything to do with this or not, or if it's the school thing, where they tore down took the trailers away. I heard there was supposed to be what's that thing called? Roundabout. Yeah, a roundabout. I'm thinking in New Jersey we call it a jug handle. But anyhow, a roundabout, for the buses and stuff. But I continue to see people speeding up and down the street, and my concern again is the children, mine in particular. And I was just wondering if there's any plans to put a police officer there when kids are being dropped off and picked up and all that other good stuff, because that is a busy street. I don't know if that area, again, where the trailers are, is going to be a place where they do whatever, but it just concerns me because I see people speeding all the time.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, moving on. Reports of village officials, the municipal manager, Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a lot going on. You probably noticed that this morning the sign did go up for the new home construction. And all I can say to those who have commented on tonight, there have been numerous meetings over literally the years now for designs that we've considered. We did hire an architect who was well-versed in historic structures to be part of the design, the original design, to capture the architectural kinds of things. Went through the National Park Service. Anyway, we're years later now actually having it come to fruition, so it's pretty exciting.
When was the public notice?
And then there have been so many public notices over the years. So anyway, that's very exciting. A couple other things. We have our pool. I'm pleased to report that today we did get approval for operating our pool without the registration process. No need to divide it into the individual swim sessions like we had to last year. We still do have some restrictions in place, but certainly nothing like we had to do last year. So that's really good news for members and those who want to join. We will be having our community yard sale. We'll also be having the concerts on the Commons. Again, there'll be some restrictions, but nothing like previously. So watch for more information on that. I do want to mention that the home improvement repair program will start up again. We'll start taking applications June 1st for that program. Let's see, the Potter Hill conclusion of the PUD development there. It's been delayed for a while Potter Hill is selling off assets, and anyway, there were a number of items that we needed before they could dedicate the street over to us. We have finally now received all of those, and that'll be at Planning Commission in May, and hopefully we can get that issue once and for all resolved and completed. A couple other things. I know there have been some concerns raised about the cicadas coming, which is a terrible thing. I'll have to stay inside now for another reason. But there are some who are concerned. If you want to protect your trees, you're certainly free to do so. We won't be providing anything, providing netting. I do have our arborist, a question into our arborist, do we need to do some protection on some new trees that we're about to plant? So I'll wait to get the direction from them on what we'll be doing with the cicadas. So that will conclude my report for right now.
Any comments or questions, the manager?
Just on the home improvement program, it seemed like it was pretty popular before. How do we get the word out on that?
Well, I will be putting an article in the journal, and it'll be on the website and the village headline.
And the mask may help keep the cicadas out of your mouth. All right, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, nothing new to report tonight.
Okay. Clerk of Council Tanya Kohler.
No report.
Chief of Police Neil Fertelman.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a successful drug take-back day this past Saturday. Our residents brought us 50 pounds of unused or expired prescription drugs. Those were taken to the DEA for incineration yesterday. So we actually had 3 large boxes that we were able to keep out of our streams and waterways. You met our newest officer, Officer Mayberry. We're very happy to have him on board. One of the things that occurred since our last council meeting was we did receive a vote from the Commission on Accreditation that we were granted re-accreditation. This is actually our 5th accreditation award. The Commission Executive Director wrote to us and he said, "Kalia congratulates the Greenhills Police Department for demonstrating a commitment to professional excellence through accreditation." So we're very pleased that the Commission re-accredited us for the 5th time. We were active in the community with a request that was placed on social media. We had a resident that her daughter lives with her and found out that she is expecting and just didn't have the funds to take care of everything. So we were able to find out what she needed the most. One of our officers went over, talked with her, and we were able to recently provide her with a crib and crib mattress for the soon-to-be Greenhills resident that will be arriving in the near future. And the community is just amazing because the amount that we spent out of our community fund, which was donated by our residents, was replenished over the amount that we spent within days of us providing for this resident. So once again, we find our residents here to be incredible in the way that they look out for each other. We received a thank you from one of our residents for none other than the guy holding up the door in the back of the room, Officer Holbrook. This resident wanted to let us know that he had helped her out several times, wanted to comment on his demeanor and effectiveness as a police officer. He told us that he was she told us that he was approachable, understanding, and did a fantastic job in assisting her. So he received a letter from me which said she concluded that she was glad you were working for the Greenhills Police Department, and we are too. We honored our dispatchers during National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Day in and day out, these dispatchers 24/7 watch out for our officers. They make sure that our citizens are served, that officers get the information that they need when residents call 911, and they're dispatched promptly, and they just on a routine basis do an awesome job for us. One of the things we posted in our update to citizens was a little bit of information about barking dogs. That seems to be a call that we receive a lot, particularly in springtime when the weather gets a little nicer. We do have a noise ordinance that after 10 o'clock each night before 7 in the morning that we like to keep the village as quiet as we can. So folks that have issues with barking dogs can feel free to call us at 513-825-2101. And we try and warn folks on the first time that we go out, and citations can be issued if we don't get any cooperation, but most of the time we do. We have some information also on our website and in our update this month about reporting fraud. It seems like telecommunications fraud has increased tenfold. If it's not thieves pretending that they're the IRS or Duke Energy or whomever it may be, you may recall that recently we talked about that, and there is one solution that always works for telecommunication fraud. The government Most of these agencies are not ever going to call you and ask for information, particularly any kind of credit card information or bank information. That one and only solution is hang up. I know it's hard to be impolite, but typically these folks are not who they say that they are, and they want access to your money. In terms of statistics, during the month of March, we made 4 criminal arrests, including an arrest for domestic violence, driving under the influence, illegal use of drugs, and improperly handling firearms in a motor vehicle. We responded to 137 incidences, included 20 squad runs, 11 domestics, 7 parking complaints, 7 warrants served, 6 noise complaints, 5 fire runs, 5 found property reports, 4 trouble runs, 4 motorist assists, 3 well-being checks, 3 lost dogs, 3 criminal damaging reports, and 3 lockouts. We provided mutual aid to our surrounding law enforcement agencies in 14 instances. We issued 49 traffic citations, 46 warnings, and we investigated 2 traffic crashes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any comments or questions of the chief? All right, I've got a couple things. One, I have court receipts. State of Ohio, for the month of March, received $2,831.70. Hamilton County, $103.50. And the Village of Greenhills, $13,512.16. Also issuing a proclamation for Arbor Day, and Arbor Day in Greenhills will be on April the 30th. And so this will get posted in the posting places around town and be on our website. And I also wanted to mention, today they had an open house before our council meeting at the new school. What's it called again?
South Campus.
South Campus. And tomorrow evening from 5?
5 to 6:30.
5 to 6:30. If anybody's listening or here who wants to go take a look at the new school facility, you could do that tomorrow. And then, I forget the date in August, they're having a dedication.
They haven't set it.
They haven't set the date yet. Also, the first concert will be on the 19th of May. And we have schedules here. Is it online yet?
Yes.
And it's posted on our webpage, so you can check to see what the bands are. I think there's going to be 8 or 9 concerts this summer, and Mr. Miller's shooting for every other Wednesday. So if we have a rain out, then he can schedule it for potentially the next Wednesday. And I will mention the schools over there where they've moved the trailers out are going to reseed in that area. And they'll be doing special markings for the crosswalk, if I understand it right. We'll see what the plans are as they develop before school year starts in late August or early September. All right, that's all I have. Committee reports, Service and Streets, Jennifer Osmanaglu.
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Recreation, Cable Television, Natasha Metz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a meeting, apologize, my voice is on its way out. We had a meeting on April 20th just to talk about potential options for recreation for the year. And we are going to move forward with Harvest Fest, but it's going to be a shorter timeline, so it's not going to be a whole day. It's just going to be in the evening. We're considering 4 to 8. We'll put out information once that becomes solid. So we're working on getting that going. So there will be a Harvest Fest this year. It's just going to be minimized timeline-wise, and we've got a bunch of other events that we're working on putting into play over the summer as well. So that's the end of my report.
Okay. All right. Community Development, Jeff Halder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank everybody that participated in the 20 Minutes of Good and also the support. Jennifer helped out, and we gave some prizes out when we saw people out and about. We knew it would be a light start, but 2 times on that Saturday, it was 9 and noon, we invited everybody to either step out, pick up some trash. We had some interesting situations. What was it, a daughter, or it was a mother and son that had picked up trash and then they put lawn chairs out. Would they have signage out?
They had a sign that said, "You're awesome." So they were out there just encouraging
Yeah.
people.
So one of the things they did, there was probably about maybe 20 different people. I think it was a couple of OLR groups picking up trash around the common area. And I heard one of the ladies that was heading or leading that group said that I can do something for 20 minutes. We may revisit this again in the fall, and then possibly, again in next summer as well. But doesn't hurt to do a little bit of good, and it benefits not only whoever's the recipient, but it also has benefits to ourselves when we step out of our own little comfort zone and think of others. So thank you for those that attended that. And let me see what else. We had our meeting on the April 20th. We're excited to have a new, which we'll be announcing a little bit later, or introducing them, I should say, making a motion, a new code enforcement officer. It's been a challenge. Met with a resident, just talking about some of the issues they were having. He had asked me to come over there. And, things have changed so much. You've got so many people that have come in and out of the village, and not everybody is in a financial place to care for the property as well as they probably even want to. But I think that we've got a good new person coming into that role of respectfully making it clear what's expected, where we have things that are broken, things that are against the code. So we're excited to have that hopefully take a further step forward. But that concludes my report.
When
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, Safety Committee, Melanie Hermes.
The Safety Committee met today. We did have a short executive session to talk about the hiring of public employees, just to get an update since we have had a few new hires. And then a couple other things we talked about in our Safety Committee was parking outside the lines. A couple years ago, we updated the code, and the lines are advisory. We do follow what's in our code, but if you're parked within the lines, you're good. But if you're parked out of the lines, because sometimes some vehicles are a little bit longer, but we still follow the code. So if you see anything and it's definitely in your way, let people know. But the lines, if you're in the lines, you're good. If you're outside the lines, you might not be good. But if you feel that someone's blocking for safety reasons, please let us know. Call the police department at 825-2101. The other thing we talked about was how our fire department is 100% volunteer, and we are always looking for volunteers for the fire department, but also wanted to thank them since they do an outstanding job, especially being 100% volunteer. And let's give a little bit of a thank you to Forest Park for the mutual aid. I know they get called in for any kind of life-threatening medical emergencies just to make sure our residents are safe. So our next meeting will be June 22nd at 5:30. Thank you.
Finance and Audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At your places tonight is the general fund recap for the month of March. And as you can see, the numbers are staying steady and where they need to be as far as income tax and real estate tax income for the month of March. April will be an interesting month, but it should be the months of May and June, which were exciting last year, shall we say, and so we'll need to take that into account as we do the year-to-year, month-to-month comparison in the next couple months. The general fund balance as of the end of March 2021 was $1,200,769. Expenses, we are watching our P's and Q's, and staff continues to spend wisely. The appropriations are right on target, and as you can see, the transfers from the general fund to special funds has already taken place and is actually less than it was last year. So we're in the positive at this point. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right. Last but not least, the Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Maria Walter.
We do not have a meeting this time for lack of agenda, but our next meeting will be for June the 22nd, and it will be at 6 p.m., while the safety would be at 5:30 p.m.
All right, unfinished business, ordinance number 2021-01-LNR, second reading, an ordinance enacting and adopting a supplement to the Code of Ordinances for the Village of Greenhills, Ohio. This is something we do annually to update the ordinance books to keep it in compliance with what ordinances we've passed and what laws the state of Ohio has passed that we have to incorporate. Maria?
This is ordinance number 2021-01 LNR, Code of Ordinances for the Village of Green Hills, Ohio. Whereas American Legal Publishing Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio has completed the 2021 supplement of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Green Hills, which supplement contains all ordinances of a general and permanent nature enacted since the prior supplement to the Code of Green Hills. And whereas American Legal Publishing Corporation has recommended the revision or addition of certain sections of the Code of Ordinances which are based on or make reference to sections in the Ohio Revised Code, and whereas in the intent of the council to accept these update sections in accordance with the changes of the law of the state of Ohio, and whereas it is necessary to provide for the usual daily operation of the municipality, now therefore be it ordained by the council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio, Section 1, that the 2021 supplement of the Code of Ordinances of Green Hills as submitted by American Legal Publishing Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio, be, and the same is hereby adopted by reference as if set out in its entirety. And Section 2, such supplement shall be deemed published as of the day of its adoption and approved by the Council of the Clerk of Councils of Green Hills is hereby authorized and ordered to insert each supplement into the copy of the Code of Ordinances kept on file in the office of the clerk. And Section 3, the ordinance shall be in full force and take effect upon its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve of this ordinance.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
As you say before, it's just we have to do it
Right.
to comply with Ohio Revised Code.
Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Ms. Osmanagu?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 2021-01-LNR passes. And these are also on the village's website, too. Okay, ordinance number 2021-02-LNR, second reading, amending Chapter 351 of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Green Hills to adopt regulations regarding the parking of inoperable vehicles. Ms. Walter.
Ordinance number 2021-02 LNR, amending Chapter 351 of the Codified Ordinance of the Village of Green Hills to adopt regulations regarding the parking of inoperable vehicles. Whereas Chapter 351 of the Codified Ordinances regulates parking generally in the village, and whereas Chapter 351 does not adequately regulate the parking of inoperable vehicles, and whereas council has determined that such regulations would be in the best interest of the village, now therefore be it ordained by the council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring, Section 1, that the council of the Village of Green Hills hereby amends Chapter 351 of the Codified Ordinances in order to enact Section 351, period 19, as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that the remaining provisions of Chapter 351 shall remain in full force and effect. And Section 3, that this ordinance shall be in its effective form and after the earliest period allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this ordinance.
I second.
Any comments or questions?
I think it was a little bit hard to hear. Could you give just a summary really quickly of what it is so people can hear?
Yes, the 351, period 19, it says that no person shall park an inoperable vehicle upon any public roadway or public lot. For purposes of this section, an inoperable vehicle is defined as a motor vehicle that is, 1, not in operating condition because it is wrecked, dismantled, or partially dismantled, on jacks, dilapidated, has one or more missing or broken windshield or windows, or has one or more flat tires. Or 2, it's unable to be moved under its own power due to dead battery, a missing engine or transmission, being wrecked, missing a fender, steering wheel, bumper, hood, or other significant vehicle part. B, owners of inoperable vehicles found in violation of this ordinance will be personally issued a written warning or have the warning affixed to the vehicle if the owner cannot be found. After 24 hours, a citation for violation of the ordinance shall be issued if the vehicle has not been removed from the public roadway or public lot or repaired. And C, except as otherwise provided in this subsection, whoever violates this section is guilty of a minor misdemeanor if within 1 year of the offense, the offender previously has been convicted of or pleaded guilty to this offense. Whoever violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. If within 1 year of the offense, the offender previously has been convicted or 2 or more predicate motor vehicles or traffic offenses, whoever violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree.
Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Montague? Aye. Ms. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 2021-02-LNR passes. Okay, new business, I did the proclamation already. Resolution number 2021-07-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2021-07F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Whereas the 2021 annual appropriations were adopted on December 8th, 2020, are to be amended, and whereas appropriations must not exceed the total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.36A5, therefore an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio. Section 1. Since certain actions are needed and the monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2021, the following items of expenditure are to be supplement the appropriations for the expenditure for the year 2021. Fund description. Shade tree maintenance, account number 4501. The original appropriation was $51,000. The change is an additional $27,000 for a new total of $78,000. Section 2, that the following transfers of funds be made from previously appropriated monies, none. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mrs. Montague?
Aye.
Ms. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Metz?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2021-07-F passes. Next, we have a motion affirming the municipal manager's appointment of a code enforcement officer.
I'd like to make a motion to affirm municipal manager's appointment of a code enforcement officer This will be followed up by a resolution in the May council meeting.
Second.
And is this just an aye vote?
It can be, sure.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. All right, municipal calendar.
What was the name of this person?
Bob?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all we can get is Bob.
Yep, that's right.
Uh,
Were we?
Okay.
Any other
Calendar, calendar. Pat, you're out of order. Calendar?
Safety
The
Committee,
22nd, laws and rules.
Okay.
Safety Committee, 6/22 at 5:30.
Clarification for the date for the planning commission is
The
in May.
25th?
Of May.
May 20, or May, the same night as our
Council meeting,
council meeting.
yeah.
I think it's the 25th.
Okay. Hearing no further, meeting adjourned.
And how do we get a hold of Bob?
Call the office.
Call the office and ask